The mitochondrial theory of aging. More explanatory power. Imagine a vast city that never sleeps. This city has trillions of workers. Some transport materials, some repair damage, some send messages across great distances. Others build new structures or maintain existing ones. Every second of every day, work is happening. This city is your body. But like every city, it depends on power. Without electricity, the transportation system stops. Communication breaks down. Repair crews can't do their work. The entire system begins to fail. Inside every cell in your body are tiny structures responsible for producing that energy. These microscopic power plants are called mitochondria. And the health of these tiny power plants may be one of the most important determinants of how long and how well we live. For many years, scientists tried to understand why the body gradually loses its vitality as we age. One of the early explanations was called the endocrine theory of aging. The endocrine system is the network of hormone-producing glands in the body: the thyroid, the adrenal glands, the pituitary gland, the ovaries, and the testes. Hormones act as chemical messengers. They coordinate metabolism. They regulate growth and repair. They help tissues communicate with one another. As we age, hormone levels often decline. Growth hormone decreases. Testosterone decreases. Estrogen decreases. Now, because of this, some scientists proposed that aging happens because the hormonal signals in the body weaken over time. So, when a patient in a doctor's office is shown to have a decrease in a certain hormone, the natural treatment is to prescribe exogenous hormone. Of course. And this is what largely happens these days. In this paradigm, the body is like a company where the executives gradually stop sending strong instructions. The workers become less coordinated, and productivity declines. Now, there is certainly truth to this idea. Hormones are indeed incredibly important, no doubt about that. However, I have learned through rigorous study that if you want to find and understand what is true, you must ask questions. If you ask why and keep asking why, you find that the endocrine theory leaves a very important question unanswered. Why do those hormonal systems decline in the first place? Why does the body begin sending weaker signals? To answer this, we have to zoom in deeper, all the way down to the cellular level. And when scientists did just that, they discovered something remarkable. Inside nearly every cell are hundreds, sometimes thousands of mitochondria. These structures are ancient. In fact, they were once independent bacteria that merged with our ancestor cells more than 1 billion years ago. They still carry their own DNA. Their job is to take the fuel we eat and the oxygen we breathe and convert it into a molecule called ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. ATP is the universal energy currency of life. Every muscle contraction requires ATP. Every nerve signal requires ATP. Every repair process requires ATP. No ATP, no life. But mitochondria are not perfect machines. Over time, some of them become damaged. Some begin producing energy less efficiently. Some begin generating harmful reactive molecules that damage surrounding cellular structures. As the years pass, the number of poorly functioning mitochondria inside cells gradually increases. Now, let's return to our city. At first, the city's power plants are modern and efficient. Electricity flows easily. The city thrives. But over time, some of the power plants begin to fail. They produce less electricity. They generate more pollution. And the city slowly begins to struggle. Transportation slows, communication weakens, repairs take longer. The entire system begins losing efficiency. This is essentially what happens when mitochondria decline. Now, there's another fascinating consequence of declining mitochondrial function that most people notice long before they ever hear the word mitochondria. As people get older, they often say something like this, quote, "I'm eating the same way I always did, but now I gain weight much more easily," unquote. Many people assume this is simply a matter of willpower or discipline, but there's actually a deeper biological explanation. Let's go back to our city analogy. Imagine that city again with its network of power plants producing electricity. When the power plants are strong and numerous, energy flows freely. Factories run at full speed. Transportation systems work efficiently. The entire city burns through fuel quickly. Now, imagine that over time, many of those power plants become inefficient. Some shut down. Others produce less electricity than they once did. Suddenly, the city cannot burn through fuel as quickly. Fuel begins to accumulate. In the human body, that fuel is calories. And one of the main places excess fuel gets stored is body fat. When we are young and metabolically healthy, our muscles contain large numbers of healthy mitochondria. Those mitochondria burn fatty acids and glucose efficiently to produce energy. But as mitochondrial density declines with age, especially in people who are sedentary, the body's ability to oxidize fuel declines as well. Calories that once would have been burned for energy are now more likely to be stored. This is one reason why fat gain often becomes easier as we age. The body hasn't suddenly become lazy. The underlying energy infrastructure has changed. This is where mitochondrial health becomes incredibly important. When someone regularly performs Zone 2 aerobic training, mitochondrial density increases dramatically in muscle cells. Those new mitochondria become extremely efficient at oxidizing fat for energy. In other words, they restore the body's ability to burn fuel rather than store it. This is why endurance athletes often have extraordinarily high mitochondrial density in their muscles. Their metabolic engines are powerful. Fuel flows through the system quickly, and fat oxidation becomes highly efficient. Combine that with periodic fasting, which clears out damaged mitochondria through mitophagy, and you create a powerful cycle. Old mitochondria are removed. New mitochondria are created. Fuel burning becomes more efficient again. And the metabolic slowdown associated with aging can be dramatically reduced. So, when we talk about fasting and Zone 2 training, we're not just talking about burning calories. We're talking about maintaining the cellular engines that determine whether fuel gets burned or stored. Longevity, metabolism, and the body composition all intersect at the same place, the mitochondria. And here's the crucial insight. Many hormone-producing glands rely heavily on mitochondria. If their mitochondria are not working properly, hormone production suffers. So instead of hormones being at the root cause of aging, hormones may actually be downstream effects of declining mitochondrial function. That is why many scientists believe the mitochondrial theory of aging has greater explanatory power than the endocrine theory. It explains not only declining energy production, but also declining hormone output, slower metabolism, weaker muscles, and increased disease risk. But here's the hopeful part. Your body has built-in systems designed to maintain mitochondrial health. Two of the most important are mitophagy and mitochondrial biogenesis. Mitophagy is the process of removing damaged mitochondria. Cells constantly inspect their internal machinery. When a mitochondrion becomes dysfunctional, the cell can tag it for recycling and break it down. It's like demolishing an old, failing power plant. But mitophagy does not run at full speed all the time. One of the most powerful triggers for mitophagy is fasting. When you stop eating for an extended period, the body senses that energy availability has declined. Several metabolic switches flip. Insulin levels fall. AMPK levels rise. Autophagy pathways activate. The cell begins cleaning house. Damaged proteins are removed. Old cellular components are recycled. And importantly, damaged mitochondria are eliminated. Fasting becomes a kind of cellular cleanup process. Old power plants are dismantled. But removing old power plants is only half of the story. You also need to build new ones. This process is called mitochondrial biogenesis. And one of the strongest triggers for mitochondrial biogenesis is aerobic exercise, particularly what physiologists call Zone 2 training. Zone 2 exercise occurs when your muscles rely heavily on mitochondrial energy production. You are working hard enough that your mitochondria must produce large amounts of energy, but not so hard that you switch primarily to anaerobic metabolism. During this type of exercise, the muscles send a signal that essentially says, quote, "We need more efficient power plants," unquote. In response, a genetic program activates inside the cell. A protein called PGC1 alpha turns on the creation of new mitochondria. The cell begins building more energy generators, new power plants, more efficient power plants, more reliable power plants. Now, imagine combining these two processes. Fasting removes damaged mitochondria through mitophagy. Zone 2 training stimulates the creation of new mitochondria through mitochondrial biogenesis. One process clears away the old power plants. The other process builds new ones. Together, they create a cycle of mitochondrial renewal. And this cycle may be one of the most powerful biological strategies for maintaining long-term health. Before we finish, it's worth stepping back and asking a bigger question. Why does all this matter? Because when scientists examine many of the diseases that shorten human life, they repeatedly find something in common. 3 of the leading causes of death in modern societies are cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer's. Now, at first glance, these diseases appear very different. One affects the heart and blood vessels, another affects blood sugar regulation, and the other affects the brain. But when researchers examine the cells involved in these diseases, a common pattern often appears: mitochondrial dysfunction. In heart disease, the heart muscle cells often show impaired mitochondrial energy production. In type 2 diabetes, skeletal muscle and liver cells frequently develop reduced mitochondrial capacity for burning fuel. In neurodegenerative diseases, neurons can struggle to generate enough energy to maintain normal function. In other words, when the cellular power plants fail, the organs that depend on them begin to struggle. This does not mean mitochondria are the only causes of diseases. Biology is rarely that simple. But mitochondrial health appears to sit near the center of the web. Which brings us back to the practices we discussed earlier. Periods of fasting that activate mitophagy, aerobic training that stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, breathing and cardiovascular conditioning that improve oxygen delivery. Together, these practices help maintain the health of the tiny energy systems that power every cell in the body. Longevity may not be about chasing a single miracle drug or supplement. It may simply be about maintaining the cellular engines that keep the body running. Take care of the mitochondria, and many of the systems that depend on them have a much better chance of staying healthy for a very long time. Remember this: aging is mandatory. Growing old? Well, that's optional. You now have the knowledge for what you can do. Taking action is the next step. Have a wonderful day, and a productive day, and an even better tomorrow.